suffering from writer's cramp as they desperately try to reword everything that's been said about Kamala. They're like Larry Kudlow trying to get those websites to take down those pictures of our time in Cancun. From her role on the border to bailing out violent criminals, the pro-Cam media is spinning harder than the dial on Jerry Nadler's bathroom scale. Because there's a lot of damning crap that needs to be rewritten, like when Biden put her in charge of the border. This from the New York Times, quote, President Biden said on Wednesday that VP Kamala Harris would lead the administration's efforts to deter immigration or migration to the southwestern border. That was March 21st, 2021. But like Joe Biden's last physical, guess it never happened. Roll it.
She was never actually border czar.
Republicans named her the border czar.
Republicans have always exaggerated what her job was at the border.
She was never put in charge of the border.
You already hear folks talking about the border czar. She wasn't the border czar.
Now what she's up against is folks lying about her border record, calling her a border czar.
What President Biden tasked VP Harris with doing back in 2020 regarding the border, securing, not to secure it, but to address the underlying roots of migration. What Republicans heard, though, was that President Biden was naming her his border czar.
It's not what we heard, you jackasses. It's what was written. Let's go. Let's go right to the source. This is the government proclamation that says she is indeed the czars, you. They used the very word. Damn those Republicans with their accurate recollections. The media had their way. We'd all be like Biden, an empty memory and a full diaper. They're also erasing her record on bailing out criminals. She's opened more jail cells than cakes with files in them. In 2020, she tweeted out a link to the Minnesota Freedom Fund to raise bail money for thugs arrested during the George Floyd mostly peaceful protests. And by mostly peaceful, I mean only a few dozen people were killed. Leave it to the CBS News to paint a different picture. Quote, despite Trump's claim and 2020 tweet showing support, Harris never donated to the Minnesota Freedom Fund. Well, that's not what people asserted. She raised funds, not donated to them, you toady douchebags. And defunding the police, well, she supported that too, once upon a time.
Defund the police. The issue behind it is that we need to reimagine how we are creating safety. For too long, the status quo thinking has been you get more safety by putting more cops on the street. Well, that's wrong.
Kamala puts her foot in her mouth so much they should spray her shoes with Listerine. I guess you wouldn't try to reduce arson by getting rid of firemen, but then again, maybe Kamala would. That was in June 2020. In October, after she became Joe's running mate, the campaign said she didn't support defunding. And what of Kamala being called the most liberal member in the Senate? GovTrack, an organization that monitors politicians' voting records, pulled down its 2019 ranking that showed Kamala even more left-wing than Bernie and Liz Warren. Hell, even Chairman Mao once told her to take it down a notch. And what about her key role in the U.S. withdrawal in Afghanistan? The media certainly pointed out that at the time, how valuable she was. But with the pullout more botched than Nancy Pelosi's Botox, when will that narrative change? If you listen closely, I bet you can already hear them tapping away on their laptops. So what you're seeing is public relations rehab done for free by the media. It's a transformation that would make Caitlyn Jenner blush. And yet it doesn't seem to be sticking. And why is that? Well, imagine if X, once called Twitter, was never bought by Elon Musk. Do you think we would see the history of Kamala's resume? Hell no, those stories would be erased faster than you can say what can be unburdened by what has been. Turns out, Musk stands between the fantasies of the media as these charlatans attempt to railroad the realities of our experience. So how can the media maintain their gaslighting if the public can so easily and quickly expose and debunk their orchestrated cover-ups? They can't. Musk turned us all into a nation of debunkers and exposes the media daily for what they are: liars, cheats, and hoaxsters. It's often said that sunshine is the best disinfectant, that people do better when they're being observed. But this assumes the media are actually people. Let's welcome. Oh, I already did that.